Well, it's a nice day today. This is Eric at Loft and Art, and I figured since it's so nice out, at least sun-wise, might be a good opportunity to come out and check on trees and go over a few things, some of the challenges that we have this winter, and most specifically, I'm talking about them. So, having 3 6-month-old husky puppies and a bunch of potted trees is not easy. Huskies are natural diggers, aren't they, Gypsy? Aren't they, Gypsy? Yeah. So, what we have all around the backyard is this. Now, the benefit of that is they're going after the voles, but my once relatively lush backyard is getting pretty muddy, and when it's nice and sunny out, it's not a big deal, but when it's raining, good Lord, it's a lot, isn't it, Tundra? It gets pretty muddy. Yeah. What ends up happening is not only are the puppies really good at knocking pots over, they're really good at chewing pots and chewing trees, and so there's been a significant learning curve for me about how I have to protect stuff, and what some of this ends up, what I'm gonna have to do to end up keeping things from being chewed on. Most of it, I think, comes with the height and the caliper of the trees. This one's pretty frustrating. They've gone after 2 of my potential Bravo producers. I have a Saujau Preto over on that side of the yard under that big planter right there. That was a 6-foot tall tree, and they chewed it back to about 12 inches. And the rest of what's left is under that thing to keep them out of it. So that's frustrating. The scraps of wood that I've piled up around certain trees, just to build up, some mounds of stuff, they've taken them apart and strung wood all over the place, all around the backyard. So out here there's all these little chunks of firewood basically that they've been chewing on, which is fine. I would rather have them chew on that than the actual trees. But to say it's not frustrating is a lie. Right now we've got some cold weather coming through, and it's supposed to get down to about 19 tonight. So I'm moving a few trees around. I moved a bunch of trees out of the greenhouse because of the vole attack, which luckily seems to be mitigated for the time being anyway. This is the remake cloth that I got. It's nice and warm in here today, which probably isn't a good thing. But I got this to cover my citrus trees in here, which I want to get this one. Uh-oh, well, poop. It's probably fine. But anything that was in here is mostly citrus. There's a few pomegranates and just a couple of figs. I'm not doing much to give anything a head start anymore. especially, trees that don't potentially need it. But this remake stuff does a pretty good job of insulating just enough on these absolute coldest nights out here. This is the only place I use it, is just in the greenhouse. So as soon as this cold front passes, Wednesday or Thursday, whatever it is, we'll pull this stuff out, and we probably won't need it for the rest of the year. And that's relatively cheap. You can get that on Amazon for like $25 or $20. I take that back. It might have only been 15. Anyway, regardless, I've got a few trees I still got to put back in there. This greener stuff, I want to protect it. Some of these smaller trees need to be a little bit more protected. Something like this is relatively soft wood, so I want to get that one in there. But yeah, what do you do for the dogs, right? Pets are part of our life. My wife and I volunteered for years with a husky rescue. And we love the dogs immensely, but there are challenges with them. And different breeds have different challenges. So, like I said, huskies are diggers, and they all teethe. But one thing that was happening was, this was my LSU Tiger that I put in last summer, or this last summer. Nothing is sacred out here, man. So what happened was, this was in a 15-gallon pot before I put it in the ground, a nice big root ball, and I had it nice and kind of a well set up so that I could water it in the summertime and it would be good. It did really well, right? I came out here, I don't know, a few nights ago after I got home from work, and half of the root ball was exposed down here. I mean, it was a hole about a foot deep, and they were going after something. Not only are the dogs going after voles, I think they taste the sugar in the wood on certain varieties. And certain varieties get targeted more than others for some reason. I don't know what that is, but they've gone after this one. They've gone after green Michurinska, Saujau Preto, and a few others. So it's frustrating. It's really frustrating, and it seems to be an issue with, at first blush, you would think it's an issue with the height of the branches and the height of the dog's mouth. So anything that's within eyesight range, that's what they target. But, once they get a taste for things, or once they smell certain things, that's something that they just keep going after. So I don't know what the answer is to that. I do have a few experiments on going on what I can deter them with, but one of those deterrents, something really easy and natural, is river rock. Just pile it up around the root ball. That's going to serve two purposes. It's going to provide habitat for snakes. It's going to keep the dogs out of it, right? But then there's this secondary hypothetical thing. These rocks, whether you're using concrete or river rock or whatever, talking to a friend of mine about this kind of stuff, using those as kind of a heat sink, so they absorb sunlight and heat and pull it down into the surface level roots. That might be a benefit come springtime, it may heat up the root ball here quicker, wake this tree up quicker, get fruit production faster. Now, this is just a working theory. I think it's sound hypothesis, but I don't have the experience with that to back that up yet. It's just something that I am experimenting with on a few of these. It just so happens that it helps that it deters the dogs. So I've done that with a few of my plantings at this point. I'm going to continue. I've got a big pile of river rock over there on the side of the backyard that I'm just going to keep, redistributing as needed. Let's see. Sorry, I'm thinking. So there, that's an unfortunate thing. This tree went down a couple years ago in the big ice storm that we had. This was a nice, big chain of gold tree. We had two on either corner of our backyard. My wife's mom planted them here 35 years ago, something like that. Big, huge trees. This one especially. And it was coming back from the roots, right? It got up so tall, and it's dog mouth height. And it's going to stay dog mouth height because they chewed it off. And that's unfortunate because that is actually poisonous for dogs if they get too much of it in. So we'll watch them. I have a feeling I know which one it is, and it is not surprising. I have a good feeling. I know which ones are digging, which ones are chewing, and it's kind of frustrating. This is my York elderberry. Same thing happened here. I had a secondary shoot coming up here. It's gone. Elderberry is vigorous enough. I'm not super worried about it, but if the trees can't ever get taller than 3 feet, that's a real frustration. So I don't think that'll end up being the case. I think the puppies will probably grow out of this. But if you do have pets at home, and dogs especially, these are things that you don't hear a lot of people talking about figs and growing in general. At least I haven't seen it. But we'll go up here and I'll show you on some of these pots some of the stuff that I've been experimenting with as far as deterrents go. Let's see. So this stuff up here, my green Menchurinska that's in a pot just keeps getting hammered by Gypsy, and digging out completely, digging it out. Probably needs to be root pruned anyway, so try to look at it positive. But one thing that I did was start playing around with smell deterrents and trying to figure out what the most effective thing is. So for voles, one of the natural things that you can use potentially is peppermint oil. And I figure, okay, let's give that a shot for the dogs. I had a husky years ago that loved peppermint, so I put a little bit on my finger and tested it, and gave it to him. What are you doing? What are you doing, Tundra? What? Oh, really? Oh, yeah? You gonna talk? You gonna talk to Daddy? Oh, yeah? You gonna come down here? You gonna come down here? Hi. Hi, Alpha. Hi, Alpha. You saying hi? Yeah, you're a good girl. Anyway, so smell deterrents. I had a dog years ago that loved peppermint. He would help me brush my teeth. stupid pet tricks. Anyway, not like I would brush his teeth and brush mine with the same brush or anything, but he would help me brush my teeth. So, I tested it on these guys, the peppermint oil, and that seemed to work. They did not like it. They don't like toothpaste. They don't like the peppermint oil. But the problem with the peppermint oil is it just doesn't last very long. Even at full strength, 100% uncut peppermint oil, it only lasts for a couple of days. So that's not going to work, right? But I refilled this green Michurinska pot this last week, and they have not touched it. And my feeling is it's because of something else that I put in it. I tried cinnamon, just powdered cinnamon, as another potential deterrent. And they were very interested in the smell of that because it was something different, and cinnamon is a sweet smell, right? That's not going to work. So what I ended up settling on was ground black pepper. And I've seen people use like cayenne pepper and black pepper for like cat deterrents to keep cats from marking on things. I figured, okay, we'll give that one a shot. You know, if they sniff it, it's not going to hurt them, but it's going to be unpleasant. So what I did here, this is my abacu. They were digging in this, and you can see here they had started to dig. I sprinkled a pretty generous layer of the black pepper over top of this one, and they've left it alone. I did the same thing over here on this one. They've left it alone. Hi, Tenderbutt. You come down to say hi to Daddy? You're such a good girl. Yeah. Even though you chew my trees, you're a good girl. Yeah. Yeah. Come on. All right. So black pepper seems to be working for now, and it's lasting. So I'm gonna have to come out and do this one, I think. But you know, they're not digging into it. Tendra's chewing the branches all the heck. I mean, I'm gonna have to take that whole section off, I think, probably. They were doing this to my pomegranate as well, and so I put some boards on it to keep them out of it, and that worked a little bit, but it didn't stop them from, you know, trying to get into it. So black pepper seems to be working. Just regular cheap ground black pepper. So they were doing the same thing here on this pastillier that has been chewed back and is not super cold tolerant. You can see all the potting soil on the ground. That all came out of my elbow. I mean, they had this thing pretty much dug out. So black pepper on top of that, after I capped it, tried to cap it anyway. And then I did the same thing over here on Planera a little bit. But black pepper, at least for now, seems to be working. It's cheap. Doesn't take a whole lot to get a good cover on it. And it's readily available. You know, it's easy to find. So if you need a pet deterrent on your potted trees, or, you know, maybe even sprinkling them around your in-ground trees, it may do the trick. I don't know. Like I said, it's really more of an experiment than anything at this point. But give it a shot. See how it works for you if you're having issues like I am. I don't know what the best fix is for getting the dogs to stop chewing on the trees. The only thing I can figure is the in-ground stuff. I'll have to put a fence around them. And the rest of it, I'm not sure right now. Other than making them so that they're growing up more upright, more single leader, getting them taller before I put them in the ground, making sure the trunk caliper is pretty substantial before I put it in the ground. Maybe that'll help keep the dogs away from it and long enough to keep them from messing with them too awful much. But they're huskies, so they're going to do what they're going to do. Unfortunately. All right, that's it. Take care for now, and we'll see you around.